we're back where we started, because in today's video, it is things that I don't like about my JCW. And there's a few. There's things that I actually don't like about it. And those are things that you could say could be fixed aftermarket wise, or they could have been fixed from the factory. But let's dive into those. Now, there is one glaring difference on the front of my 2022 JCW that the 2022 to 2024 JCWs don't have. And that is this grill insert down here. I had this added. I bought it from SMPS 2012, and I'll include a link to it in the description below. But I had this added because there are 5 openings across here, and I can get my fist right through each of those openings. And if I can get my fist through those openings, what else can go through those openings when you're driving down the highway at 70 miles per hour? Quite a bit. It's a flaw that really shouldn't exist. It shouldn't be there. Now, granted, the brake ducts right there could also take anything through them, and possibly something could go through here into the auxiliary cooler. But this is one of the glaring ones because that's the intercooler back there. And if you damage the intercooler, you damage your engine. And that's something that they really should have thought about when they engineered this car. It's an easy fix. It's a $35, $36, $37 part plus shipping. It's something that really shouldn't have been an issue to begin with. And I've seen what happens when things go through those vents. It does damage that intercooler, and it can cause so many problems. So a little peace of mind, I added that in there. Now, this isn't exactly a thing that I love or hate about the car, but you'll notice that as the car wears, tiger striping starts on the wheel arch trims, and it does it on every single generation of the Mini. It doesn't matter which one. And it's something that I am going to have to take care of at some point. It is starting to happen on my car, and my car is only 3 years old. So it is something that's going to be needed to address at some point. Now, ways to treat that: you can use tire shine, you can use back to black. You could even just buy new wheel arches, which is a little bit more expensive. I'm going to try a few options to see what I can do to get that to clean up and look better. But that's just something that's normal on every Mini, it seems, these days. Now, the brakes, I love them and I hate them at the same time. Now, here's the reason why. This wheel is a 45 offset wheel, 18 by 8, 45 offset. And that's so it can clear these calipers, because they are literally, I can't get a finger between the caliper and my wheel. Now, they fit perfectly fine, but aftermarket wheel selections are very limited for this car because of how massive these brakes are. Now, they fixed that with the new ones. The new JCWs don't have that. They also don't have 4-piston calipers from Brembo, but you can put any kind of wheel on the new cars and it fits just fine. You're very limited on what wheels you can put on these cars, and in the US market you're even more limited because there are some wheels they don't sell here. There's a silver and a graphite version of these wheels in the UK that I would love, and I can't get them. So there is that. That being said, the white wheels do look very, very nice on this car. So there is that. Now, there is another thing that bugs me about this car, and that is, and it plays right into the wheels and why I'm opening the bonnet, and that is the fact that cambering the front suspension is very difficult because they re-engineered the suspension. Now, don't get me wrong, I think this is amazing. The strut hats in here are superbly engineered. It's a BMW part that was long needed between the previous 2 generations of the Mini. So coming to this one and having something more robust that doesn't fail at the drop of a hat, pun intended, is really, really nice. Now, the problem is, unlike the first gens, which had camber kits, and the second gens, which had camber kits, and you could even slot the strut towers on the second gens to give you camber, you can't do that with these. Meaning, you have to buy camber plates, you have to buy either cheap ones or really expensive ones, or coilovers that come with them, or you have to just put up with it and put whatever will fit on the car. Now, the result being you are limited on that. Now, really the only limitation is money, and if you really want to deal with the camber plates themselves. So there is that. So adding those details to make the camber different so you can put wider wheels on the car, and it would even help you with the cornering as well, that's give or take. Now, I wish they had actually given the front end a little more camber. It would have helped with cornering, but they also had to deal with the average driver, and not everyone is running around on the Dragon racing their Mini every single day. They're usually just driving it to the grocery store. So having no camber on the front on a front wheel drive car makes perfect sense. Now we turn our attention to the seats. Now, I love these seats, but here's the weird thing. you'll notice that is a lumbar adjuster. It's not on the passenger seat. This has nothing to do with a manufacturing flaw at all. I actually had to add that because my last Mini had a lumbar adjuster in it. I have some back issues, and part of that stems from a car accident I had in 2018. But I like having a lumbar adjustment on the seat. Well, depending on the model year, this version of the JCW seats came with lumbar adjusters, and in some model years they didn't. And if you wanted to go on the higher trim levels, you could get the adjusters because they have them. Now, the weird thing is, this is an anniversary edition. The anniversary editions in the UK have the more expensive seats. They have the lumbar adjusters, they have the head-up display, they have the option to not have a sunroof. We didn't get that in the US. We got a very slimmed down version of the car. I wouldn't say cheaper because it's a $45,000 car, it was not cheap. But there were things that they could have given us for the US market that they chose not to for this car. Now granted, it is one of 75 in the US, one of 740 globally. And all 75 in the US are in this color. Now, how many of them have manual transmission, I don't know. But still, that's a feature that it would have been nice to have that given what we were paying for the car. I mean, at least it has Harman Kardon, and it has navigation and Apple CarPlay and all that great stuff. So it does have all those things, but I wish it had come with those seats, and I wish I had been able to. There's times where I wish I'd been able to delete the sunroof, but it's not that big of a deal. And in fact, now that I have it completely wrapped in white vinyl, it works very well, and I don't even really notice it. Most people don't even notice it until it opens. So there is that. Now we bring our attention to the exhaust. Now, you all know from previous videos, my car sounds incredibly loud and amazing. And there's a reason for that. I had to modify it to make it do that, because from the factory on 2021 and newer, they silenced them. They made them more quiet. They didn't make them pop and crackle like they used to. And that was a disappointing thing because JCWs 2019 and older, they popped and crackled like crazy. The newer ones, no. So we had to delete the second cat, which doesn't have a sensor in it, so it's not gonna be that big of a deal. We had to delete the second cat just so I could get that noise in this car. And the resonator was already deleted because this has a JCW Pro exhaust. To get the sound that I wanted out of this car, I had to do more stuff to it. It seems interesting that in order to get what you want out of it, you have to do more. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Some people like doing that stuff. Some people like modifying their cars. But there's things that I wish they had been a little bit different. Just a little bit. Now, this is also an anniversary edition, so the fact that there are things on this car that are not done right is really funny. For one, and it's a glaring one, you'll notice, oh, I'm gonna point this out, I scratched my door sill plate, and apparently you can't get these anymore, so that's a problem, but is what it is. We're gonna come in here and I'm gonna show you the steering wheel. So there's the steering wheel. Here's the Cooper logo. The Cooper logo is not quite centered here. So there's a flaw right there. On top of that, vinyl over here for the Cooper logo circle, it wasn't put on correctly. So there's a bit of a divot right there where the vinyl wasn't quite attached to the dash satisfactorily. And I don't get that. I don't understand why they wouldn't do that correctly. Now, granted, most of the stuff that makes it an anniversary edition was port installed, so I guess it was flawed from the get-go. Not necessarily a terrible thing. So I guess it happens. Now, this one is a thing I don't like about the car, and this one is self-inflicted. And I don't like the fact that there's a massive scratch on my hatch. And it happened about 4 months after I bought it. And you can't really see it, but it's right there. I mean, if you put your camera close up, you can see it. But if I come to the side, it pretty much vanishes. If you come to the side of the car, or if you come over here, it kind of just disappears. So it's not really noticeable, but it is a flaw, and it's a flaw I created. So it happens. Another thing that is a known issue with these cars, and I think that's partly why they redesigned the logos, is the JCW badge after about a year looks like this. And no, this is not from 3 years of ownership. This wore out. All the red disappeared on it about a year after I bought the car. And it's because it's at the front of the vehicle. It gets all the wind, it gets all the rain, it gets all the driving force right into the front of it. So this just wears out so freaking fast. And the result is, you get this. Now, there was a time where the JCW brake calipers used to have that same problem. The JCW logo would vanish off the calipers as the calipers heated up if you were driving hard. And it was just a weird thing to have happen. It was just like, why? The logo just vanishes off the vehicle. Easy to fix, usually. But it was an issue that was known enough that they started fixing that. Now, why couldn't they have found a paint, a red paint, that would have lasted a lot longer on these logos. I don't know, but there it is, and it's missing. Now, I do love the black badging. That's one thing I do like about this, but I mean, they could have done something different with that. Now, this is just a fluke with the way the car is designed, but it does have the aerodynamic characteristics of a brick, which is partly why it gets rock chips like crazy, and it gets rock chips in the windshield like crazy. It just happens. It's the way the car is designed. Now, this affects every single Mini, regardless of model year, even the classic ones. You're not gonna fix that, no matter how hard you try. So really, aside from a few things on this car that would be better if they were changed, there's not much I truly hate about the vehicle. Hate is kind of a strong word. There's things that I dislike about it. I do kind of wish it had head-up display, so I guess that's another one I could add in there. I wish it had a mechanical limited slip differential like the GP3 and the JCW Clubman and Countryman do, but you give or take. Because it doesn't have that, it uses the dynamic stability control kind of like a electronic differential system. The thing is, it does that by applying brakes to either side of the car. The result is your brake pads tend to wear out more quickly in certain situations, which is why on my road trip in 2023 to Sonoma, the inboard pad on one of my rear wheels went away completely because we were going around some corners and it decided it didn't want to be around anymore. So it decided it was done, and we were already halfway to California, so I had to basically drive like that with a squealing brake caliper until we could finally get it replaced. It does happen. But really, there's nothing I absolutely hate about this car, dislike about this car that I couldn't live without. There's really nothing. It's a great car out of the box. It's been a great car for the last 3 years, and assuming I have it for another 2 or 3 years, it's still gonna be a great car. It's gonna have a lot more mileage, but it's gonna be a great car. And there's one thing I do hate about this car. I drive so much, and this poor thing is putting up with that kind of driving. Almost 97,000 miles. I drive so much on this car, and I wish I didn't have to do that. I hate the fact that I'm putting that much mileage on this car, but there's really nothing I can do about it because of my job and the way I drive. So the result is I probably have the highest mileage anniversary edition JCW on the planet. And that's pretty impressive. Something that no one else can claim the honor of, I'm pretty sure. If you out there have an anniversary edition and you have more mileage than I do, I have close to 97,000 miles. If you have over that, leave a comment below, let me know. I would love to meet you, maybe send you a t-shirt and just have a nice chat about that. But anyway, hope you all enjoyed this video on the things that I don't like about my Mini JCW. If you did, leave a like below. Don't forget to comment. And if you haven't already done so, why don't you consider subscribing to the channel, because I am trying to bring out more content, and you know that I will find a way to get more Mini Cooper videos out there as I'm able to do it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.